Welcome to Series 2 of the Heroine's Journey, this time dealing with the Alien vs Predator films and where they intersect with Joseph Campbell's monomyth. The first AVP did not feature Ripley but still had a woman as the main protagonist. For reference, the theatrical version of AVP has been used here. Alien vs Predator opens on what looks like the crown of a queen alien, but is soon revealed to be a Weyland Industry satellite. It picks up a heat balloon while flying over Antarctica and relays it to a receiving station. We soon meet our heroine, Alexa Woods, as she climbs the Lolar icefall in Nepal with nothing but spiked boots and ice axes. This instantly tells us that she is both physically and mentally tough. Not only that, the call to adventure comes via a literal phone call, which she answers suspended hundreds of feet in the air. While she doesn't outright refuse the call to adventure, she tells the caller, Maxwell Stafford of Weyland Industries, that it's going to take her some time to get back to civilization. Stafford says he doesn't have that long, and it's revealed that he's waiting for her with a helicopter. A similar scene plays out next, with Stafford inviting archaeologist Professor Sebastian de Rosa and his assistant Thomas Parks to join him. We meet Lex again en route to their destination, the icebreaker Piper Maru in the Ross Sea, with Dr. Graham Miller. We learn more about her here. She's an environmental technician and guide, and completely at home in the Antarctic environment. This contrasts with Miller, who, while he may be an expert in his field of chemical engineering, is quite alien to the extremes of the South Pole. The actual refusal of the call comes when their mutual benefactor, Charles Bishop Weyland, explains that his satellite has found a pyramid beneath the ice on Bouvetoya and he wants to explore it. Lex explains that due to Bouvetoya being one of the most isolated places on Earth, they all need at least 2 weeks of training before disembarking. When Weyland says that isn't an option, Lex quits on the spot. Despite her refusal, she still feels responsible for the others on the boat and fears someone will get hurt, trying to convince Weyland and Stafford of the danger. It's only when Sebastian, who like Miller isn't worried about the risk, asks Lex if they're better off with her or the second choice, that she decides to stay. So far we know she's physically and mentally tough with a strong sense of responsibility. The ice is her ordinary world. She also now has her quest: keep the rest of the expedition safe. Step 3 is supernatural aid. This comes in the form of a laser fired from a predator ship in orbit, creating a tunnel from the surface to the pyramid below. Crossing the first threshold could be looked at in a couple of ways. It could be leaving the Piper Maru, though Lex is clearly in charge as they head towards an abandoned whaling station where they intend to start drilling. For her, this is still the ordinary world. The first threshold is an actual threshold, with its own guardians flanking the huge staircase. However, it's not Lex who begins to transform when they cross the threshold. One of the Weyland team, Connors, steps on a tile that triggers ancient machines that start the transformation of the pyramid, first in the form of waking up the alien queen, who will ultimately transform the pyramid into a hive, while the pyramid itself will continually transform throughout the film once the team are exposed to the facehuggers. The belly of the whale takes on a number of forms. Lex and Sebastian on the surface literally walk through the belly of a whale while exploring the settlement. Then again, when they descend down the tunnel, it's not a smooth tunnel but ridged all the way down, akin to a giant intestinal tract. And finally, when Lex explores the grotto at the bottom, icicles form almost organic shapes lit by her red flare. Later, the alien hive will resemble the inside of an animal as the pyramid continues to transform. The road of trials is shown in Lex trying to keep the ailing Weylands safe while they evade being crushed by the pyramid's ever-changing walls along with the deadly aliens and predators. Trials can come in threes, and this could be viewed as the initial confrontation where Stafford is killed, the next encounter where Weyland buys Lex and Sebastian time to escape while he attacks a pursuing predator, and the third where they narrowly escape both a closing tunnel and a thrown predator glaive. The meeting with the goddess could be looked at in a number of ways. It could be Sebastian explaining the history of the aliens and predators, how the latter hunted the former, and if the aliens got out of hand, the predators could wipe out the infestation, and themselves if need be. Armed with this knowledge, Lex's quest changes. Having failed utterly to keep everyone safe, she now embarks on a new quest: stop the aliens from reaching the surface. In order to do that, they have to find the predator and return the gun they inadvertently stole, and maybe it can stop the aliens. Sebastian doesn't like the idea of choosing a side and tries to tell Lex that they're on their own side, which could be seen as the woman as Temptress step. Obviously, Sebastian isn't a woman, but he is trying to lure the heroine away from her quest, as the surviving predator, dubbed Scar, is now the thing that holds ultimate power over Lex's life. Her meeting with it is the atonement with the farther step of the journey. The predator gives Lex a spear and shield fashioned from the very alien that she killed, which harkens back to the meeting with the goddess step. Another way to look at it is a role reversal from hero to heroine. The heroine, having killed an alien with a spear, is fit to be the consort of a god, as the predators are depicted via the statues adorning the temple. Apotheosis is a realization of greater understanding. This might be Lex finding the hive and appreciating the full extent of what's at stake. And although this was already covered earlier when the history of the hunt was explained, the dead bodies of Miller and Verheiden and the soon-to-be-dead Sebastian emphasise the point. Lex doesn't gain an ultimate boon in terms of something that she can take back to the ordinary world, but rather stops the aliens entering the ordinary world via the Predator's wrist bomb. There is no refusal of the return portion, as Lex is only too eager to get back to the ordinary world, in this case using the sled in a magic flight back up the tunnel, racing ahead of the destruction of the subterranean pyramid. Rescue from without comes in two instances. First, when Lex shoots the alien with a piton gun after it attacks Scar, Lex being the rescuer rather than the rescued, then later when the surviving alien queen has Lex cornered under a separating vat and Scar leaps to her aid. There is a literal crossing of the return threshold as they exit the tunnel, but the alien queen has followed them back from the unknown into the ordinary world. And it is here, despite Lex's journey hitting most of the steps, that things start to fall down. Lex is the same mentally strong, physically tough, brave, responsible person that she was when we first met her. She has not undergone any transformation of her character and has not become the master of both unknown world and ordinary world. The Lex that ultimately defeats the Queen with gravity is the same Lex that knows all about gravity when climbing ice cliffs. Unlike Ripley, who was left alone to confront the creature in both Alien and Aliens, Lex needs Scar, otherwise she cannot succeed. Achievement of the quest is not hers, but is shared. Which brings us to an interesting point. Perhaps the hero of Alien vs Predator is not Lex at all, but Scar. Scar does not hit all the points in the journey either. He doesn't refuse the call to adventure, there's no atonement with the father or apotheosis, but he definitely goes through a transformation in a number of ways. He and his brothers cross the first threshold with its dead dangling guardians and enter the supernatural tunnel. Scar has his own road of trials, which he easily dispenses with, be it Wayland or the aliens trying to attack him. After he physically transforms by scarring himself, he begins another transformation, as he is attacked by a facehugger. The meeting with the goddess results in him being given his shoulder cannon, which aids his quest, and the goddess also tempts him. His normal nature would be to kill her, but on his transformative journey he spares her and is rewarded by the goddess rescuing him later, both from the alien that stabs him through the shoulder and programming the sled for their magic flight. However, despite succeeding in his quest, Scar is not the master of two worlds either. Perhaps he and Lex are two masters from two worlds. Lex the master of the ordinary world, Scar the master of the unknown. However, neither are masters of two worlds. And Scar literally does not have the freedom to live, not only killed by the Queen, but his body bears an alien chestburster as the Predators leave Earth. One master lived, one master died, but neither succeeded. The aliens ultimately won the day. So Scar wasn't really the hero after all, or indeed the heroine if we assume Scar is female.